I'd like to call upon Karen's higher self and subconscious and all the collectives that are supporting us.
Hi, we are all here. Thank you for inviting us in.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Are we able to give her healing and harmony and balance in her body, please, as we continue this session?
Yes, we will scan for anything that is abnormal or interfering. We will continue that throughout the session.
Thank you very much. If there is anything you would like us to know about her body, will you be able to tell me?
Yes, she's had a lot of fatigue lately, but that is a lot of the extra energy that's entering into the Earth's atmosphere. She needs to expand her energy field so it doesn't feel as dense, and that will combat the fatigue.
We were speaking just earlier about whether she should have a protection around her and ground. What is your advice for her, please?
Always drink more water. Um, she needs to rest more during the evening hours. Sleep has been broken lately, mainly mainly the dreams that she's been having. But instead of going right back to sleep, she likes to stay up and try to analyze what she just experienced. And we tell her that if she just asks to remember, we will help her do that and she can analyze these visions and dreams at a later time. She needs to concentrate on going back to sleep instead.
So, what is one of the dreams that she did have that you can tell her about now?
She was at a business meeting, but she wasn't allowed in. They didn't have a name tag for her. And she was told that she had a special mission instead and that she needed to go catch an airplane and fly to another destination, that she was needed there instead. And that one occurred just last night. Um, the meaning that she felt it had was she was concentrating on helping the wrong group of people. They shouldn't be her focus at this time. She needed to readjust her mindset and focus on transmuting energies that were coming at her from strangers instead.
What else would you like us to know about that dream?
She wasn't alone. There was a female being with her that she doesn't know from her waking hours, but they did accompany her almost like an assistant, an extension of herself. They weren't allowed in the meeting either, and before she could get disappointed or angered about being rejected from entering that conference room, the other person with her kind of like guided her away and let her know that, yes, you are needed somewhere else. We need to go now. So she didn't have time to be upset about not being included in the plans that were going on in the room. She needed to go out on her own and do her own work. It was kind of like solitary work, only she was appointed to do. And that was something with adjusting the energies and transmuting them from negative to positive and releasing them back out.
I see. And so, was her subconscious or higher self in that meeting?
No, they were not. The ones that she could see through the doorway, she didn't recognize, but they were all dressed in like business suits, even the women. So it was really kind of like a stiff and uncomfortable feeling that was in that room anyway.
Were we able to learn about what was taking place in that meeting?
She felt like they were planning um, everyone's future, actually. And she definitely wanted to go in there and add her 2 cents. But it wasn't her time to join them. So they sent her on her way. It was a very brief encounter. And that's really all she felt with that.
Well, thank you so much. And so, what were the conclusions of that meeting? Can we find out from the collectives who were a part of that?
There were a lot of beings that were in attendance. It was, they were trying to convince some of the fence setters, people that, beings that were indecisive, that we need to move forward at a faster pace. But it's like they wanted to drag it out. They had not accomplished what they wanted to on Earth. There is more density here, and they wanted to play around with it. They wanted to see how humanity could manipulate, navigate's a better word, with the higher density and also the higher energy that's being injected into our environment as well. The mixture is something they haven't done before. Some humans are thriving on it. They actually feel energized physically. But there are so many that are just tired and fatigued and have no motivation. It feels like the difference might be in their DNA and where they were spawned from before this planet. It's almost like the Pleiadians have a tougher time with the density. The Orions have an easier time with it, and those are the only two outside species that I'm being shown right now on how they are adjusting to the density and the energies.
Fascinating. Okay. I am curious to hear about what the Arcturians are doing on this planet. How are they feeling with this energy?
They're coming forward right now, and they're gonna share the experiences that they're recording. They're not affected as much as the Pleiadians where it concerns the fatigue. They are they're not neutral. That's but close to what I can interpret from what they're showing me. It's more of a neutral state for them. It's neither good nor bad. So it seems like they have a way to deflect it,
Fantastic.
and they transmute it much easier. It's like if you're Octurian, you can transmute energy so much easier. They heal themselves faster, and they can use it in different manners other than just transmuting. They can ground it as well. They know how to place it and where to place it on the earth, and they use trees a lot. The trees help absorb the energy, and through the root system, they can get it into the earth faster.
Clever. That sounds really clever. Okay, well, thank you so much for giving us the information. As we know, when Karen has dreams, it's really her other work life, and not just imagination and made up weirdness.
Yeah, sometimes she has some dreams that show a lot of work in them. It's like she could take some of the astral world back to her consciousness, her conscious life. But she uses the technique of, before going to sleep, setting that intent to have a memory. Anybody can do this.
Yes, very important to remind us about our free will and asking to recall our dreams. So thank you so much.
Yes, you're welcome.
We were curious about what Karen was wondering with in terms of the backdrop people. She felt like she was noticing much less people. She was wanting to know, are the backdrop people leaving?
There have been up to maybe 7% that have been recalled, that are being asked to depart. Their roles and missions on Earth are very limited. She's being shown that this is a part of getting prepared for a shift. They don't need to be here for that. If we got rid of them all at once, it would be way too noticeable. So over the past several months, actually, they have been departing little by little. And she's noticing that more now because, of course, there's more gone. And I don't know, other people should be noticing this in their areas as well. It's happening all over the world that the backdrop people are being reassigned. They've completed their menial missions.
Yeah, fascinating. Thank you. Thank you so much. In terms of the new timeline, is there anything new that Karen's going to be experiencing in her short time frame ahead?
It feels like there definitely was a different timeline introduced somewhere around the beginning of June into the maybe second week of June. I know that she struggled with it at first. It felt very heavy to her, but when she realized that that's what happened, it was easier to adjust and resume the life that was being presented to her. She noticed the people around her that aren't really awakened yet were having epiphanies or speaking about subjects that hinted to her that they were waking up. And that has continued, especially with her husband. He's had a few conversations that they never even approached before, and he's the one that brought him up. She sees signs in him that he's awakening. Her daughter is not near as angry. She's more leveling out. So those are some of the signs that she's noticed with this new timeline, that it's affected them. She stayed in neutral and she's just observing instead of trying to manipulate or push them further. She's excited for them and wants it to go faster, but she knows if she tries to expedite it, it could make them fall back down. So she allows them to grow at their own pace. She also feels like there may be another timeline split coming up. It's not really going to be a shift, but there'll be a split off. Some people will stay on this timeline, and the one that splits is less growth, slower growth. And it looks like it's going to reconnect though, right before the shift. And the reason for the slower growth is for it gives people that need to do their inner work, if they are on that timeline, it's going to feel slower, but they're actually getting a boost to help them complete and catch up to where they should be on their inner growth. It's going to give them somewhat of a energized injection of knowledge, maybe, that helps them get to the place they need to be right before the shift. And then, like I said, the timelines will reconnect. There will be more humans ready to go, and that will make our work less and easier to accommodate everybody through what's going to be coming up. It's going to be it could be a trying time, and we want to make it as smooth as possible. And that's why we're creating this little detour in a timeline split. But it will. Go ahead. What'd you say?
I see, but I interrupted you. Sorry, please continue.
I just, I hope I described that well. It's what she sees is, it's kind of like construction in the road. The ones that need to take the detour do, and then they come back and meet with the people that took the straight path forward. But everybody in the end, right before the shift, will meet up at the same timeline again. And like I said, the purpose is for growth. It expedites their growth and it gets them back on the path they need to be on.
Will that detour include disclosures?
A lot of the ones that take the detour, they already know the truth. They are just lagging behind because they want to procrastinate. We'll call it that. It's a polite way to put it. They will be hit with some startling news. The ones that need the disclosure to wake up, it looks like they're staying on the straight timeline, and that some of the disclosures will happen for them. It's like a flow in this timeline of people that are in the front of the line are the ones that are in the know, and then there's people behind them, and they're going to be more affected by the disclosures. But they will not be on the detour. The ones that are on the detour are mainly light workers that need to do their work. They need to put their uniforms and their hats back on and get busy.
Well, it's great and good opportunity for those who are still holding on to their inner work. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And in terms of Karen, will she be experiencing any power outages? I mean, what would you like us to know?
There will be rolling blackouts. Is That's what they'll blame it on. They'll blame it on the temperatures and the the power sources. They won't be able to handle all the electricity that the people are trying to consume. They did that last winter for this area. So it will go unnoticed here on what's actually occurring because people are going to expect power outages naturally. They've already been warned that it's going to happen if the temperatures keep rising. But right now, the climate has been very mild for the summers that they're used to here. So for any blackouts to occur here, they're going to have to blame it on something else or create some type of natural disaster. There's really not too many things in this area. Possibly tornadoes that could definitely cause power outages. I do see thunderstorms, so that would be the possibility that would happen, that type of natural disaster to occur in this area. And if that does go through, it will be 3 to 4 days before any power is restored. She would be wise to at least stock up on some waters, store that. She's pretty good on having food and other supplies, but you can never have enough water. So I would recommend she definitely do that.
That's really good advice. Thank you so much. And so this is really interesting. She was talking earlier, but she feels that there's going to be something that's going to create a separation in North America. Is this what all collectives are going to see, or is this just for her and her collective?
No, that was also through a nighttime dream. It was she was seeing like a big scar in the earth all across North America from Canada to Mexico. And it cut from north to south, almost directly in the middle of all three of these countries. And that's the separation that she was seeing. Like I said, the earth looks scarred and burned. I don't think it is a meteor or anything like that. It's almost like when the dark forces try to create a false invasion, they use some type of laser from the skies, and that's what burns the land. That's a pretty wide beam. That would have to be, because it's miles wide, what we showed her in a dream.
You see,
That would definitely be a mass human exodus if that were to play out. There will be many that take an exit point then, of course. And that would be before a shift.
I see. It reminds me of the Dr. Stephen Gear information about the Blue Brain Project. Is that?
Yeah, that's more holographic. The laser type weaponry that she was shown, it is It's attached to a satellite that was launched about 2 or 3 years ago. They've tested it towards deep space, but to get full respect or credibility, they pointed towards Earth on this fake invasion, and I guess it's almost like they didn't realize the capabilities that this weapon would have and what destruction it would cause. They didn't mean it to be so devastating, but that's what it becomes.
I see. And so obviously you know about this technology, and obviously the collectives are agreeing on, if this technology is used, that it will be part of the life contracts for people to exit.
Yes, and we allow that for the exits. Um, Part of this story for Earth, we can't prevent everything because it does become a part of the history and the learning experiences for everyone, not just the inhabitants, but throughout the galaxies and the universes. What can actually happen, and when these experiments that are conducted or are left alone to play out on there with no control groups. There was no control groups here on Earth to keep everything in bounds. Everybody was given free will. So there was no control groups to control the experiments. And so this weaponry and the dark forces of humanity using it on the Earth is part of Earth's learning history for everyone to learn from. There may be a different decision made, but for now, that's the way it looks like it will play out.
And
There's a friend that you've been talking to. He says he's your friend. And he goes, I know I wasn't invited in, but I just want to tell you, I can help with that. I've had access to that. I can put a virus on that and it won't happen. Do you know his name?
yes, that our wonderful John McAfee.
Yeah. John McAfee wants to say hi to you. He wants to repay so much. And yeah, he's had access to this computer system. And if he's called upon, he will help with that. That might be a turning point in that Greek tragedy.
Wow. Okay. That's so extraordinary. So does Dr. Stephen Gear know about this laser capability?
I'm not feeling that he does. He's not coming forward. All I feel is a no. That's all I got, is there was no knowledge. He does know about the blue beam and the holograms, and a lot of what we see in the sky is a part of the blue beam project. It's holograms that people are picking up on. There are some of the ships are real, and those are the ones that when you invert the light turns to the dark and dark turns to the light. Those are real. Those are real ships, and that's our presence. We monitor Earth and humanity all the time, from far and near.
Right. That's, out of curiosity, can we find out who Dr. Stephen Gear, who his collective is?
I got a mixture of Orion and Syrian that he belongs to and communicates to both of them collectives.
Okay, okay, thank you. And does he get intel about the shift to New Earth?
They have not prepared him fully with all the details. He does know that there will be big changes coming. He's asked for more information. It's almost like he's in negotiations with the collective of the Syrians. They're supporting him more. But it's baby steps. They are just releasing bits to him about the shift that's coming up. It's kind of interesting on it's almost like he's being read a child's book. And the information is very elementary that he's receiving. He's fighting himself to expand his mind to grasp the full message, and he's struggling to get more out of them.
Could it be said that his life purpose is to just awaken humanity to being compassionate towards each other and other species?
Yes, he is. He's saying that he's very sad that the path that we've gone down as a race, it definitely could have been so much different. It was like the continents where all the different races and religions lived helped separate, and it created this animosity towards each other, jealousies and wars. If the continents, all the landmass would have stayed together instead of separating as it did, Earth also would have taken a different path. That's very interesting to see. Because we're showing Karen that over time, when the lands did separate and different tribes didn't have contact with their neighbors anymore, that's when fear started to enter the lands and distrust. They wanted to know what the other people were doing all the time. They had no way to find out because of the land masses, the crust displacements, the separations, and the drifting away. And over time, it just was a 2 by 2 by 2. It multiplied by 2 each time. The distrust, the hatred, sometimes the killings. No land was unaffected.
It seems like on people's spiritual journeys, they have to overcome exclusion and be able to have inclusion of all.
Yes. Humanity has this ego base about them. They don't like to be unincluded. And when they feel that they're not included is the start of the jealousy and the contentment they have for others. I guess it would have been much simpler to keep the landmass together.
But sometimes keeping things simple doesn't give the opportunity for lessons and experiences which can give more tremendous growth.
Very true. It's like humanity learn more through trauma, harder experiences. That really wasn't the intent of this planet to begin with, though. It was always a place to come experience, but it truly wasn't supposed to be this hard. And the karmic wheel set in motion the reincarnation process of lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. It's almost like that song you all know, Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. It became a prison of sorts that you had to keep coming back.
And the purpose to keep coming back was to overcome all of this division and find connection to pure love.
Yes. Find the unity, support each other, the love. There was the separation did happen, just like the land separated. This generation now has built back up more of the love and trust than the recent past. It is definitely going forward. Humanity is on a better path. It's like they learn to trust their spiritual teams and ask for help. They've learned a lot through doing that. And this has only been in the last 20 years that this has truly come to fruition on the spiritual growth that humanity has made. There's still a lot of problems, of course. It's very hard to reach out to everyone because of the free will. Free will definitely plays a huge role in how fast the shift will happen.
So true. Absolutely so true. I do really appreciate that. Are you able to give us from your metaphysical perspective, higher dimensional information, what is your definition of unconditional love?
To have unconditional love is it's not quite like the creator source's love, which is agape love, but it runs parallel to that. Let me use a pet, your dog, for example. They have unconditional love for you. You treat them on a lower level. You can scold them. You can not feed them. You can punish them. But they always love you, and they always come looking for your love as well. They want the reassurance that they're accepted. For a human to show unconditional love, it's harder for them. They don't truly understand the full meaning of it. But to take a one-on-one situation, a man and a woman, they get married. You would think in a marriage they would develop the unconditional love. To get there, they have to set aside the mistrust. They have to have respect for one another. They kind of have to approach that relationship as a not a 50-50, but maybe a 70-30. If they're always willing to give more, that's a part of unconditional love. There's so many layers to it. I hope I'm giving you great examples on what it means to have and show unconditional love.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. In terms of the collectives who are here to help with this shift, as you heard, John McAfee has offered to help with this. Is this something that the collectives would like him to help?
John has inserted himself in some of your sessions. He's also inserted himself into some of the collectives. We'll call them meetings. He's very bold, but that's the kind of being that he is. He wants to see things get done, so he has offered his help. He is very aware of how things work through technology and the computer systems here on Earth. I'm getting from the Pleiadians that their technology, surpasses anything that Earth has to offer. They might possibly use him because he would have a direct route. John can almost enter the computer, it seems, in his being and control it that way. It's very interesting that he has stuck around to place himself in that role. So yes, if it is something that changes, and I'm getting the impression from some of the higher command in the Pleiadians that decision to change that factor would only come from source. That would be a decision made through source. Not that John helps, but a laser hitting Earth. If that were to be deterred and changed, the decision would have to be made from source. I'm getting a very, very, very high pitched ringing in my ear. The vessel is.
Okay. Well, thank you. So are we to then understand that source would like this being to go and cut through North America?
I am not getting that answer. They don't want to speak for source. That is definitely not a role anybody wants to assume. But if that part of history, even though it's still our future, is to be changed, that's where the words and the decision will come from.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. And so I'm assuming in the timeline where that laser occurs, that would provide many power outages and the ripple.
That definitely would create devastating lack of utilities and life, of course. This vessel's looking at it as a very neutral. catastrophe. It's very strange. I don't know why she would do that.
Because she has the bigger perspective of what needs to happen for this planet. So we can shift to a
Yes, but she is being shown that if it is to occur, that it definitely gets the whole attention, everyone's attention. Everyone wakes up from this. It will be exposed of the fake alien invasion. Other countries that didn't support this will expose that it came from a satellite. And with exposure, of course, the truth comes out, and that will definitely awaken everybody.
Indeed, it will. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for giving us this information. And you know that we respect it and we stay neutral as we try to process and prepare ourselves for how things need to unfold for us to be able to get to the liberation of this planet. And we also understand that the significance of the old earth and people staying behind is very important. And we were wondering if the collectives who are still holding back because they're wanting to use the density more, are they able to do that somewhat in the old earth?
They will be able to do that on the old earth, but the mixture of energy and density is not what they are craving. It won't be the same with Gaia's, upcoming departure. The energies, it's going to change. And the collectives that are ready to move forward won't be here to support and add the energy that they've been doing all along. So the ones that wanted to stay behind and they have their contracts, because collectives have written contracts as well, and they're trying to respect theirs. And that's why they're trying to come to a common ground, something that serves everyone. And they're very close to doing that. They just keep, it's like they want to demand proof. And the collectives that are always holding back, they don't generally contribute to sessions, but they sit back and observe. And as they do this, sometimes they find the understanding that they need to let go of some of these missions that they feel they want to complete, because they can go to another 3D planet and complete these as well. They just like the density and the energy that's here right now. And possibly if that were to change again, they will decide that it is time to move on. I can see that happening as well. But the only way to change the density part is through humanity. So it looks like they would give up their rights to stay if we could have more humans raise the vibration of this planet, and the density would lessen. It's another reason to do your work. Wow.
Okay. Well, yes, absolutely. Anyone still holding on to their inner work and their triggers at this point would be highly motivated to be responsible for that and to help humanity would be kind.
I get a strong, we as the collectives, we get a strong feeling that there's a lot of humans that profess that they want to shift and they want to move on, but we also feel their insecurity. they know this planet and they love this planet. And we want to assure them the planet that you will be experiencing next is the one that this used to be in the past. It will be your home. You will love it like your home. And by you releasing and detaching some of those emotions and feelings will also help raise the vibration that we need to complete this mission and move forward.
Yes, absolutely. I think there's people who are still refusing to address their inner work and want to fully trust into the shift and use this planet's beautiful, and they don't want the changes. Um, I think there must be a lack of trust from their higher selves and the collectives, because the collectives are working really hard to be able to make this shift happen, because it's incredibly important for this and necessary for this shift to happen. So if they could trust a little bit more that what their future will be is so much more of an improvement, they would stop putting the handbrake on.
Definitely. A lot of these souls need visual proof. It's more than just a feeling. They want to see. They want to see what they're getting themselves into. That's a part of the lack of trust. We can't show them because they haven't asked. And that's again where free will plays a huge role. And sometimes, even if you ask, you're not afforded that luxury because you're not at a vibrational level to receive it. And the only way to get there is to do your inner work. So it's like a vicious cycle, and it always points back to you doing your work, get to the higher vibration. You're on a different level in between the fourth and the fifth dimension. There's so many layers. But once you get high enough to meet us, because we can only show you so much at the level you're at, then there'll be more understanding and you'll have more trust and more love and look forward to this, and everything would be so much smoother. It's a very delicate balance, and we can't force anybody's hand, but that's the advice that we can give to get everybody there.
Absolutely. I often hear people saying that they've asked, but they still don't get any visual proof. And then the collectives and my team are saying, but Joe, you're physical and you're in their lives, telling them this information, but they still don't even see that as proof.
Well, even through these sessions that people listen to, and we offer advice, and we can't give out full information, but there's a lot of messages. And if they were to get with their collectives and say, can you explain this more, they will get answers, and it will raise their vibrations. That's also a part of your inner work, is connecting with your team. And that's probably the easiest thing to do, is
Absolutely.
connecting team.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people are distracted and want to not connect in. I think almost afraid. They're afraid of something. They're going to be afraid to be told off. Why haven't you done this earlier?
Yes. I feel that they're afraid. A lot of people have been conditioned to be afraid of change. A lot of people thrive on change. Those are the ones that have moved forward.
Yeah, I think people are still really deep in their 3D lives and they don't want to master 3D. Really, because they have no, it's like they don't have any hope or trust. They like the idea of the new earth, but they don't actually want to make their own changes in their mindsets to even get there.
And this isn't the last dimension to master. The fourth dimension's kind of like a bridge into the fifth dimension. So that one's really easy to transition through. But you'll have challenges on the fifth dimension, but they're different ones. And you still have to master the fifth dimension before you move forward. Delaying yourself in the third, which is pretty much the absolute lowest, is something that we've been trying to encourage humanity to look past. There is so much more, and there's so much more. And you have to get out of kindergarten, and that's where you are, before you get to go to first grade and play at recess. Let's just go.
Well, I mean, it's not surprising to you to know that people who are in the kindergarten are talking and assuming that they're ascended masters of university level, and it distracts them from looking at their kindergarten lessons.
The only ones that are at that status are the volunteers, some of the volunteers that came back to Earth to help adjust the energies. They've mastered other dimensions, many, but they volunteered to come back to the third dimension, the beginning, and help humanity. And they stay here and they help every day. And it's hard, but they go through this work. Some days they just want respect back and to see a little growth. But they do it out of unconditional love. They don't expect anything.
Absolutely. I think we're just all hopeful at this point that people will step into their empowerment and see that their responsibility is actually theirs.
Yes, it's a group effort. It's, even though some have conquered several lessons on their own and mastered several lessons, it's still a group effort to get off the planet.
Teamwork. Okay, fantastic. Love it. Okay, I think I'm going to leave the session here and go to a private part of the session. So thank you very much, all of the collectives and Karen's higher self and subconscious for all the information. And we hope that people who are listening do understand that this information is for you. Please apply it. And I say this with much love and appreciation for all of you who are really mastering the fifth dimension. We really appreciate all the help and service that you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, and love to all. And we are here to support and be of service.